anyway, that change is easier at Sheffield Midland.
And before we move on to this lady here with the question, we'll come to you next. Just let's get this out of the way, because Kevin's mentioned it a few times. 15 months ago, you were all for Meadow Hall. Now you're all for the middle of Sheffield. Apart from the fact that we know Sheffield City Council spent the kind of 200 grand trying to convince you, and we don't know really what they did with that. What's changed your mind in those 15 months? Was it the 200 grand? It's fairly persuasive.
I don't know what Sheffield has spent on it. I know that other authorities have spent money on producing reports as well. So there has been a divergence of views there. But, you know, we need to face that this route offers lesser impacts. It offers very similar benefits. It still offers basically a 45-minute cut-off journey times from Sheffield, from Rotherham, from Barnsley to London, and heading south to Birmingham.
Lady here.
Everything you've said there is a load of rubbish. Impact-wise, less demolitions. Why are there less demolitions? Because you're now deciding not to knock them down but build great big viaducts over them. Still impact. Saving money? No, because coming into Meadowhall, you've now got to build the spur onto Leeds, which you wouldn't have to do if you had the station at Meadowhall.
Can I just say, I've read these reports, and there's a few things. This gentleman, Peter, first of all, can I just say, you know, I think HS2 should do everything it possibly can to avoid any communities to try and deliver this. The new route, the Eastern Route, I've counted, and this is just from my simple getting a map out, there is 30 communities directly affected with this Eastern Route, and that's from Bramley to Staveley. So that's not the whole route, that's just on that little bit. So I sympathise with anybody on either route that could be affected by HS2. When this lady said here, I've looked at the two reports. I've looked at the Higgins report, which was the first one, and that said there will be 139 demolitions along the eastern on this leg. The new report, the sustainability report that came out in November, had it as 144, but it did not include any houses on the Shimmer Estate, and it did not include any houses at Bramley, at Broadlands. So that means that, bearing in mind, and it doesn't take into account all the properties that should have been built on those estates that now no longer can be built. So the impacts is not just about the demolitions. The demolitions are higher. So unfortunately, that is a lie. In terms of the route, the impact, if you look at the visual impact, it's all red from Bramley all the way up to Crofton. It's all red, which means that that's a really bad option. This route originally was one of the routes that was looked at and sifted out very early on by HS2. And the reason it was sifted out was because it had a huge environmental impact. Now, all of a sudden, it's the best route. We haven't reviewed any other routes, right? We've just gone straight and picked this one out like a pick and mix, and this one will do. It may save money in the short term, but the long term means that there's no economic benefits. All of the communities that are affected will not even have access to an HS2 train.
Is that true, Paul? Was this route rejected before it's been accepted?
A variant of this route was looked at some time ago, yes.
When you say a variant, how variable? How much like this route was it?
It links to the same...
So this route has been looked at and chucked away, but, and 200 grand later we've come back to it. Is that what it is?
No. As I say, circumstances have changed. We have the HS3 proposals to consider, and this gives us a much better way of getting that quick link between Sheffield and Leeds. That 25-minute link.
Have to people, everybody here knows I'm really thick. What's changed from when you threw it away to now you've put it back on the table?
So that has changed. That HS3 was not something that was being considered at the time. So there was no proposal there. So when you factor HS3 into that route, when you factor in growth in congestion, reduction in air quality at Meadowhall, those things have changed. and therefore we need to look at the route in the light of that.
Well, traffic hasn't changed, and the air quality at Meadowhall hasn't changed. How has it changed?
There continues to be growth at Meadowhall in terms of investment in things like IKEA going there. You know, it all adds to the.
We knew about that 15 months ago.